Welcome, everyone, and happy Thursday. It is noon Eastern time here in the booming metropolis just outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, known as Ambler, PA. It is time, noon Eastern time, Thursday. You know what that means? Time for Talent Experience Live, the show that covers everything that you need to know in talent acquisition, talent management, recruiting, candidate experience, artificial intelligence, and all things human resources. It is your favorite show on the internet, Talent Experience Live. And of course, this program is proudly brought to you by the good folks here at Phenom, whose purpose is to help 1 billion find the right work. That's why we host this show on a weekly basis, why we have fantastic webinars, why we have every event under the sun we are attending, and why we host, or create, I should say, the State of Candidate Experience Report every single year. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into that, of course, the way that we truly work to fulfill our purpose is through our intelligent talent experience platform, which helps candidates find the right fit faster, employees evolve in their current roles and beyond, recruiters achieve next level productivity and efficiency, and managers, who could forget about them? Well, they get to build better teams through data analytics and automation. If any of that interests you at all, I want you to go up to the top of your screen, type in www.phenom.com, and then don't hit enter until, of course, this show is over, because we have a plethora of fantastic information for you today. It is a sneak peek at the 2025 version of the State of Candidate Experience Report, and I have our expert here, our jack of all trades, a product marketer who knows everything about State of Candidate Experience, Kevin Binko. Kevin, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Devin. Great to be here.
I'm happy to have you, man. How you been?
Well, I'm good.
You're good?
Long-time listener, first-time caller. Excited. Actually, I've been on, but it's been a few years. So I'm excited to be back.
And you were, we beamed you in. You were not in studio, so it's nice to have you in studio. It's always more fun that way. And a little bit more nerve-wracking. We got the lights turned on for you.
You know, I thought it'd be bigger, but
there is a joke there that I'm not going to make. Moving right along, Kevin. So we've been doing the State of Candidate Experience for quite a long time. How exactly did it come about, and why did we originally create it?
Sure. So this is our 9th year doing the State of Candidate Experience, and I believe it originally involved Phenom is really devoted to improving the talent experiences for everybody involved. And one of the biggest personas in the talent experience is the candidates. So the State of Candidate Experience report evolved to kind of see how the best companies are attracting talent, engaging them, and ultimately converting them into applicants and allowing them to, compare their results to others.
9 years is crazy.
Yeah.
That's a long, what is that? Second grader?
It's almost a decade.
It's almost a decade.
It's an era.
It is. We are in our State of Candidate Experience era, as Taylor Swift would say. Kevin, I want to ask you, obviously we joke about 10 years, a decade. A lot has changed, right?
Sure.
What have you noticed over the past few years that's really changed the most when it comes to candidate experience?
Yeah, I think if you look at the broader context of the digital experiences that have evolved over the last 10 years, they've really changed the way that candidates and consumers engage with all sorts of brands. So thinking about that context in terms of talent, candidates' expectations have shifted dramatically over the last 10 years. They're expecting those e-commerce-like experiences when they're looking for jobs. Think about it, TikTok didn't exist 10 years ago. Most people probably didn't even have Amazon Prime membership 10 years ago. But now people are searching for products online. They're sharing videos. They're creating videos. They're interacting with digital experiences in all sorts of different ways. So that's kind of the way that the candidate experience has also evolved.
Yeah, no, Prime certainly didn't exist 10 years ago. Amazon itself did. I remember I was stoked. I was working as a restaurateur. That's a fancy word for a waiter. Sure. But I'd order, my cell phone cases, everything like that. And I still had the expectation that it would take a week or so to get there. Fast forward to now, you mentioned Prime, you mentioned, TikTok and these really user experiences that are all around us today. We expect something now. We expect to hear back from folks now, which is a kind of a segue into my next question for you. When we're breaking down, the career sites of the Fortune 500, which is what the State of Candidate Experience does, we break it down, and we originally broke it down into 3 key aspects. the attraction, the engagement, as well as the conversion. And now that's kind of evolved into including the AI. Why are those three pillars still so important today as they were, 10 years ago? And how much more important is AI compared to, maybe 4 or 5 years ago?
Sure. Well, those three categories that you just defined, attract, engage, convert, they're extremely important if you're looking at the talent funnel itself. So bringing people in the door, making sure that they have relevant content to fulfill their journey of finding the right roles and understanding what their career might look like at a company. And then the conversion aspect where they're finally convinced to apply. So it's kind of like a marketing funnel in that sense, where you want to get people to understand, first of all, to discover your content, engage with it, and then ultimately make a purchasing decision. In this case, it's the decision to apply. And AI really underpins all those because it scales the ability for talent marketers or talent acquisition teams to engage with those people at the right content at the right time. You kind of touched on it, but in the attention economy today with TikTok and everything like that, you might only have a minute to impress a candidate when they hit your career site. And with all the different segments that talent marketers might market to, think about a company that operates in a dozen countries and they have 20 job categories. The amount of personas that you're marketing to can skyrocket very quickly. And without AI to understand what those people are looking for and create that content, deliver it to them, you can't compete or market to those people efficiently.
Yeah, it's an impossible job. It's far too fast. And I like that sentiment that you had there where you may only have a minute. It makes me think of the Nick Cage movie Gone in 60 Seconds, right? That's what a candidate has. They have 60 seconds to see if they're interested. If not, they are 100% gone. And you mentioned the importance of AI throughout that whole process to create that personalized, that tailored experience for everyone. I want to ask you, one of the standout statistics that I saw this year, I got an early sneak peek copy, was that 87% of the Fortune 500 scored poorly on artificial intelligence. Why is that? Is that because they don't understand, chat GPTs or prompts? Is that simply because they don't have Phenom? Kevin, what is the reason why they're scoring poorly when you just outlined quite pointedly, I'm struggling with my words, that it is so important throughout the process?
I think it comes down to that it's still difficult to execute. And without a partner like Phenom or an integrated talent ecosystem, it's difficult to take AI, even though it's a buzzword and everybody's using it every day now. It's difficult to take that and put it into action. So to your point, we saw that 87% of companies in the Fortune 500 are not personalizing well using AI. And we think that's something that is really going to be a 0 to 1 game changer for companies that do work with Phenom. And it is achievable with the right tools and partners.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, like any piece of technology, I think there is an adoption curve, right? But the first to adopt successfully and have a good partnership are going to be the ones that grow, the most. You look at cell phone technology, right? Touch screens were technology that existed prior to the iPhone, but Apple perfected it, right? And they figured out how to make it user friendly and how for other individuals to leverage it. And now that's what we think of when we watch a movie and we see a cell phone, right? That's just how it is. I know last year we started to sprinkle in the concept of skills, right? And specifically how that ties into the e-commerce expectations, right? When you hop on Amazon, people who like this may also like this. How has that impacted the report this year with skills, where it's, if you have this skill, you may be a good fit for this job?
Yeah, so we are seeing trends where there is more skills-based hiring, or at least indicators of skills-based hiring across the Fortune 500. So that means allowing candidates to find roles that might be interesting to them based on the skills that they already have. We're also surfacing browsing-based job recommendations. So much like Amazon, if I looked at, one set of golf clubs, Devin and I were just talking about golf. They might surface another pair of golf clubs that other players or, shoppers are interested in. Or, maybe I look at that one and it'll show me the one that I'd already viewed. So kind of looking at recently viewed jobs. Those are other ways that we're surfacing job recommendations. But to your point, skills-based recommendations are becoming increasingly more popular.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And we were talking about we should do in the next episode on a golf course. You think we can expense that?
I think so. I think we could talk them into that.
We'll work on. It'll be like comedians in cars getting coffee. We'll put some GoPros in there and walk around, and we'll drink 0.0% beers the whole time. That'll be our commitment.
Sounds brand safe.
Yes, exactly. I want to circle back to AI, right? Because a couple weeks ago, we had the HR Innovation Showcase here. We talked all things agents, from the Johnny Utahs, to the 007s and everyone in between, specifically persona and experience-based agents. Is there any insight into this report that talks about agentic AI and how that is being applied in the candidate experience?
Yeah, so as part of the audits, we didn't really necessarily look at the agents, but in terms of the broader trends, we think that agents are going to be super important for the candidate experience. In the HR Innovation Showcase, we talked about both experience agents. So those are the AI agents that will help candidates either apply for roles, engage with candidates about roles they maybe had applied to in the past and should follow up with. And then we have those persona agents, which are designed for talent marketers and talent acquisition teams to generate content or design experiences for candidates. Okay. So on both sides of the coin, the agents will be helpful in that regard.
Absolutely. We need them. I know we talked about it today in our marketing meeting. We have to, explore it from a marketing perspective. So,
if you think about talent marketers as marketers, which they are, it's impossible to market to all the personas that you need to without agents. And that's kind of Phenom's perspective now.
Effectively, right? You can market to them, but
effectively,
with everyone's expectations being what they are today, I see it all the time with mass blasted emails in my inbox. I'm like, I'm not Jonathan, and I'm offended that you thought I was Jonathan. That's all it takes. So for those expectations, agentic AI is going to be the only approach. I did mention a negative stat there before, about 87% of Fortune 500 companies not utilizing AI effectively. I want to give myself an opportunity to be more positive. That was a New Year's resolution for me going into 2025. Are there any positive trends that we've identified in this report that, talent acquisition folks can kind of pat themselves on the back with?
Sure. So, in the candidate experience report, the State of Candidate Experience Benchmarks report, we're looking at a lot of different components across the attraction, engagement, and conversion. Some of those things are like site speed or SEO, so that impacts the discoverability. We're seeing a lot of improvements in web performance. So a lot of companies are investing in improving their career site. They're just not doing it at the level where they're able to better personalize the content. We also see good results in terms of companies sharing their employer value prop or maybe employee testimonials and things like that. But we think there could be better results in terms of the personalization or the conversational AI components.
That makes sense. That's positive, right? Taking that first step of going to the gym, starting that first run, saying no to Ben and Jerry's ice cream when it's right in front of you, right? no free ads. So it's exciting to hear that teams have recognized that. Now, obviously, there's some insights within the report as well. Is there anything that teams would be able to apply, as soon as next week or early next week, to continue to improve without having to purchase technology, right? Obviously, I think the gold standard of the candidate experience is to have best-in-class HR tech and services. But is there anything that somebody who may be on the fence about downloading the report that they can get value from without having to buy something, without having to purchase something? Just tips and tricks, if you will.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that you can do without Phenom. Phenom will just make it easier. Things like running campaigns within your organization to collect employee testimonials and then share those on social media and your career site. One thing we look at is, do you have social media sites dedicated to careers at your organization? And do you link those to your career site? And furthermore, are you hosting that content at your career site? So we think that's something that could be easily implemented to improve the candidate journey. So that's the engagement piece once they're on your career site. So that's one thing I've noticed in the data that could be improved. I think that's one tip I might have. More about the employer value prop.
Yeah, that makes sense, because if you are, leveraging social media in a way to try and recruit, it doesn't make sense to mix it in with tires or to mix it in with, your groceries or whatever it may be. if a candidate stumbles upon your thing, they're looking for a job. They're not really looking to be sold your product at that time. Maybe they are a customer and those two go hand in hand, but that doesn't make sense for everyone.
Well, I think, the best companies think of everyone hitting their career site as their customers as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you think about it like that, you're really prioritizing giving them a good experience. And that follows through in everything you're doing in the candidate experience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could have a customer, if they have a fantastic experience and maybe don't even end up with a job, they still might be a customer tomorrow, right? You want to keep that cash flow coming into your organization, especially in today's economy. Kevin.
Exactly. Every dollar counts.
And that's it for the economy on today's episode of TXL. I want to ask you, obviously, the State of Candidate Experience Report, it kind of is like comparing apples to oranges, right? We have 500 of the biggest and baddest organizations across the globe, or at least in the United States, and there are some other reports for the global perspective. Is it ever broken down? I know we've done this in the past based on industry or kind of vertical, so that folks can compare their struggles or successes to their peers in their industry.
Yeah, so the report is valuable, we feel, in several ways. One, it's a playbook to understand exactly how you can improve your candidate experience by seeing exactly, where you're doing well or not well. Another valuable area is the benchmarking comparisons. So that allows organizations to compare themselves to other organizations in their industry.
Yeah.
And to that point, we look at 14 industries within the Fortune 500. And then rank each company within their industry. Okay. So that it's a competitive benchmarking tool as well. Also, just wanted to add, because we are talking about the Fortune 500, there is going to be a Euro 100 report, which we're launching, and an ANZ 50. So that's going to be the first time we've launched a report for Australia and New Zealand. So that's really exciting.
So the top 650 companies around the world, that's super exciting, especially for some of those companies that are in different countries, right? It may not make sense to compare themselves to an American company because they're not competing for American talent, right?
Exactly.
And there are different experiences across the globe, no matter where you are. Even if it's just eating, right? Going out to eat is far different you don't tip in England. Isn't that crazy? If I was a restaurateur over there, getting a little callback for you. What about smaller organizations, Kevin? We talked about the ANZ, we talked about the Euro. What about companies that maybe aren't in the top 50 for ANZ or aren't in the top 100 for the Euro? What can they do to compare themselves?
I would say, even if you're not in the Fortune 500, the report is valuable to understand what the biggest brands are doing from a candidate experience. And if you're interested as a non-Fortune 500 company in understanding how you compare to those organizations, you can always request a custom audit from Phenom, and we'll probably drop a link, I would assume.
Yeah.
But you could follow that link, and then someone will reach out to you to schedule a conversation about your candidate experience.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I think it's important to give that option. And again, that isn't necessarily a sales tactic. It's an education piece as well. I don't think there's a lot of information out there for those mid-sized to smaller companies, because everybody does everything for the big guys, right? That's what it is. Kevin, what are some key takeaways, some recommendations that you want the audience at home to remember, to prompt them to go download the State of Candidate Experience? If you had one last sales pitch to give them to promote the report, what would that be?
Yeah, I would say take a look at the report, look at the trends. We're seeing automation is increasing, but personalization is maybe lagging behind. We're seeing an increase in skills-based hiring. We're seeing an increase in conversational AI. So we're going to see those trends continue. I would say take a look at the report. If you're not in the report, ask for a custom audit. We'd love to have a conversation with you. Ultimately, more than just the benchmarking, this is a playbook for you to understand how well you're performing and improve your performance through AI, through agents, and through partnerships.
Yeah. No, I look at the tape, right? I compare it to sports, where this is a snapshot in time, because obviously companies are evolving. They're adding new technology on a regular basis. Take a look at it, see how you can improve, see how your competitors improved or whoever the gold standard is, and try and steal some of their plays and apply them to next year, right?
Yeah. If I could just I was talking, one more plug, as I was talking to a customer about the State of CX report. And one cool thing we're doing is we're featuring a few high performing customers. They had shared that they actually had a summer intern analyze every other company in their industry in the report to see what they're doing from a candidate experience
Yeah.
perspective. So a lot of companies are taking this super seriously, and they're using this to learn and improve and compete better. So I think every organization should take a serious look at what we're doing here.
Hats off to that intern too.
Yeah.
That is not what they signed up for, but
No.
that is awesome.
But now they're an expert in
yes,
candidate
now
experience.
they are. I hope they get a job as well. Kevin, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. I learned a bunch about this. We've been doing the State of Canada experience for 9 years now, which is crazy to me. But it's awesome. It keeps getting bigger and better. I appreciate you taking the time. Can't wait to have you on next year.
Thanks.
For State of Canada experience
Can't wait
2026.
Can't wait to be back. Thanks for having
We're
me.
going to do it on a golf course.
Let's do it.
We'll see you. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Tune in next week because we are here every damn Thursday for Talent Experience Live. You won't want to miss it. But in the meantime, go download the State of Canada Experience Report, and we'll see you soon. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy. Have a great weekend.